Peace. Welcome once again to Court in Session. I'm your host, Justice Height. No, this isn't the court of law, more like the court of public observation and personal view, where you or I could be the judge, jury, plaintiff, or defendant. It is all based on your personal observation and your personal views. Now, I just want to take a moment to send everybody holiday season blessings. Whether you observe or not, I hope you can take this time to count all the blessings, all that which is good and great within your life and your personal circumference, and also use this time to enjoy family, friends, and loved ones. All right, and as we move on, we're at the update of the case of Jordan Neely and Daniel Penny. Was it a manslaughter? Was it a murder? Is Daniel Penny a hero? The debate going on in public space right now, especially in the city of New York and in maybe some areas nationally, as well as the story has gotten into the media space and the cycle of public conversation. And so just to give you a rundown in case you're unaware, one morning, Daniel Penny, an ex-Marine veteran, was riding the train and basically encountered Jordan Neely, who was acting erratically. Jordan Neely is said to be someone who rides the train consistently and often impersonates Michael Jackson and does what we call in New York City subway performing for money on the train. But this morning, Jordan Neely seemed to be acting extremely erratically, enough so to have alarmed other passengers on the train and threatened them, in which they felt that it was necessary for them to exit the train as soon as possible. Now, also for context reasons, I want to let you know that in New York City, the trains have two exits on both ends that allow you to exit the car and move to another car, whether the train is in motion or has stopped within the station. So it is at the passenger's discretion in the case of emergency to move from car to car within the train. As I see in a lot of spaces, the argument being used that they were in an enclosed space and Daniel Penny acted out of imminent danger and out of an imminent threat. Now, also, it is to be noted that Jordan Neely had no weapon on him, no weapon visible, and he did not directly attack verbally or physically any passenger on the train. But what he was guilty of, on all accounts given, is menacing and verbally threatening, stating that he would hurt someone and that he wasn't afraid to go to jail. And so, as a response to this, Daniel Penny thought it was necessary for him to spring into action and apply a chokehold from behind. Once again, from behind, because Jordan Neely did not attack anyone directly, whether physically nor verbally. And subsequently, he held on to Jordan Neely for approximately 6 minutes. And eventually, Jordan Neely succumbed to his death. Now, an account given by, this is a very interesting testimony given in this case. A witness by the name of Eric Gonzalez originally gave the police the statement that Jordan Neely attacked him as a passenger on the train, and which caused him subsequently to spring into action and assist Daniel Penny with the chokehold. Eric Gonzalez would then recant that initial statement given to the police and then say that he arrived after Daniel Penny had already applied the chokehold. And when asked why he recanted this statement, he said out of fear for himself and his family, that he could be charged and eventually held accountable for the death of Jordan Neely, which gives off the impression that Eric Gonzalez was very cognizant of the fact that excessive force was used and that he could be held accountable for the death of Jordan Neely, ultimately, along with Daniel Penny. So that is a very interesting aspect that is being left out of the argument of the Daniel Penny's a hero brigade and those who are using this as selective outrage, as is commonly done to express different political and different underlying political and social views when cases like these arise and go through the media cycle. So very, very interesting. Also in debate is even the cause of death of Jordan Neely, as the medical examiner, Dr. Cynthia Harris, originally gave an autopsy finding that the cause of death for Mr. Neely was due to chokehold, due to being held in a chokehold for a period of 6 minutes. And the exact verbiage given in the court testimony is compression of the neck, actually given in the autopsy report in 2023. Only for this to be contradicted by a forensic pathologist, Satish Chundra is his name, is disputing, saying he died from combined effects of schizophrenia, synthetic marijuana, blood condition, and his efforts to struggle against Mr. Penny's chokehold. That was the testimony given by the forensic pathologist. So even Jordan Neely's cause of death is being argued and debated in the court of law. So this is very interesting where it's going to go. Very interesting in terms of the police and how they approach subduing the public. When subduing, a lot of people are just frustrated with the conditions in New York City, as the city is just overrun with people who suffer from grave mental health issues as well as drug addiction issues that have been unchecked. And then, of course, the social climate, the economic policies that have been put in place have just brought this to a head, in which rich, poor, middle class, what have you, are forced to be in very unsafe and uncomfortable situations on a daily basis. And because of that, a lot of people are just eager to see someone like Daniel Penny exonerated from all of these charges and held as some type of hero and a good Samaritan for being able to subdue Jordan Neely. And then on the flip side, as the prosecution would argue, is that there was no imminent threat here, as Daniel Penny was not seen with any type of weapon visible, nor did he motion to attack anybody. But what he was doing was acting erratically based on, as we can see, maybe the synthetic marijuana, or due to his mental health conditions of schizophrenia. As it was very interesting how the forensic pathologist was able to diagnose him with schizophrenia, or I don't know if he was previously diagnosed with schizophrenia, because Jordan Neely has a very tumultuous background and history, even with the criminal justice system and socially, even with his story of how he ended up in the streets and becoming drug dependent, and not to say that hardships or the valleys that we all have to endure throughout life are a reason for us to behave in any manner, and especially a manner that endangers the public. But there are many different things socioeconomically that played a part in Daniel Penny's, Jordan Neely's fate ultimately on that train. And Daniel Penny, as a U.S. Marine vet, someone who was trained in martial arts. Um, did he use the correct conflict resolution here? Um, one could say that he acted appropriately in subduing Jordan Neely, but at the same time, one could also argue with substantial reason that his actions were excessive, because it got to a point where other passengers asked him to withhold or remove, the chokehold. And passengers had already exited the train after he had continued to apply the chokehold. So get in the comment section. Once again, this is a very polarizing case, and it can set a lot of precedents for we the people, as we operate from day to day in a city like New York, in which you're basically unable to arm yourself, and you're at the mercy and the discretion of the authorities to basically defend you. Unless, once again, the quote unquote, there's a possibility of, not even a possibility, without a reasonable doubt, there is an imminent danger present in order for you to then defend yourself. And of course, most citizens in New York City are unable to carry any form of deadly weapon. So basically, it's a hand-to-hand combat situation. And once again, this city is just overridden with crime. Violent crime is on the rise. So very interesting. Let me know how you feel. Peace and blessings.